Ivan, welcome back to the Bitcoin Infinity Show. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me again.
Yes, you have taken over a very important job. You are now the main organizer of BTC Balkans, which used to be the Bulgarian Bitcoin Conference, right?
Yes. Plamen, so you said it, the perfect autistic guy that you love. He was crazy enough that he said, "Oh, I'm not going to pursue this to be bigger, to take more and more money and stuff like that. I want to give it to the community." And he was searching for somebody to take on that responsibility. And it turns out that he wanted that guy to be big. But just because I'm the face, it doesn't mean that I'm the whole team. He's actually giving the conference to the community, which is the Bitcoin Club here.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we'll get into all that a little later. But first, I want to know what you've been up to since last we spoke, because you were on the Bitcoin Infinity Show back when we were the Freedom Footprint Show, I believe. Like, this is like the first year Luke and I did this. And back then you were working for Breez. So what have you been up to since then? And what are your projects right now, apart from the conference?
Yeah, back then I was still trying to develop my network, because we know that Bitcoin is not just an asset or whoever puts it in a box. So that I wanted to connect to the actual network. And I was trying to tell my story, what I was doing, stuff like that. And you were gracious enough that you got me then. But since then, life is beautiful, man. As a Bitcoiner, everything, I don't think that there's a bear market if you're a true Bitcoiner. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. But since then, I have a very unique vantage point to what's happening in the Lightning ecosystem, because I still work in Breez and stuff like that. That people have no idea how Bitcoin is really developing on all fronts and in such a rapid pace. But because Bitcoin unifies us and aligns our interests in such a way that even if I pursue a personal project on Bitcoin, I am supporting actually my work, and my work is supporting my personal projects and all sorts of things that in the fiat system I personally never experienced. But because of that, I actually became a movie producer. I never thought that I'll do that. And as I mentioned, Plamen gave me the responsibility to organize the conference and some other stuff. I became not an author like you, but I've managed to write a few articles here and there that people seem to like. So yeah, those are the kinds of stuff that I have been doing since last time.
Fantastic. Good to hear, man. Movie producer sounds interesting. What's the movie you're producing?
Yeah. Well, I connected to one guy that is a videographer, and he wanted to develop in the Bitcoin system his brand. And I talked to him, can you actually come and record the conference? But it turns out that we couldn't make that thing work. But he agreed to record the conference. And the morning that I woke up, I said, okay, this guy agreed to record something with us. Can we actually do something? And I had the crazy idea, wow, are you up to making a movie? And she was crazy enough to say yes. And I organized the community here, and not organized, but asked the community, are they up for it here in Bulgaria? Because there are many projects that are happening in different cities and stuff like that. And when the community came behind this idea, then we actually started to see, can we actually make it work, raise some funds, stuff like that. And 2 months ago, the guy went back in USA, and right now we are in the editing phase of the movie. Hopefully it will be released early next year, but I'm not the producer and I don't want to make any commitments on a release date, but we'll definitely make a physical projection in one of our big movie theaters. And yeah, hopefully I don't disappoint the Bitcoin community, but this is a way to show the whole global Bitcoin ecosystem, what's happening here in Bulgaria. And also the Bulgarian community to connect to the global community so we can benefit each other in this way. But yep, that was the idea.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, so it's sort of a documentary then, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, it is a documentary, but the main focus that I wanted to go away from is I don't want it to be talking heads, and there is a moviness aspect into it. There'll be a race. There's actually the Legio run. There's a lot of payments happening. So I wanted to show what is Bitcoin and not talk about it. That was the main focus on it. And the goal, hopefully, if we done our job right, is to inspire all the people that hodl in secret and watching podcasts only, that they go out there and use it, because that's how we win in my particular point of view. And it's a lot of other people do it. But unfortunately, this hodl mentality and don't spend until you die, I kind of dislike. But yeah, that was the idea. We'll see how we execute that shit.
Fantastic. And even like, I think the last time I visited, I went to this conference back when it was called the Bitcoin Conference Bulgaria, I think, when Plamen was running it. Well, I don't think I called him an autist. I think I said it's the most beautiful case of ADHD I've ever seen.
Exactly. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Plamen, sorry.
Sorry for the comment also, Plamen. I don't want to armchair diagnose you here. I'm just trying to give you a compliment. This wonderful, energetic guy with the most contagious laughter ever. His laughter is very specific, and anyone who hears it just can't help but laugh themselves. So we had a swell time, and he was very generous and very nice to give us all the speakers, or the international speakers at least, a bus tour of Bulgaria for 4 days. This is why I've been wearing a T-shirt that a friend made after this thing, saying I survived 4 days in a bus with Greg Foss. That was those 4 days, because Greg was one of the participants in the bus. And we had such a good time and such great stories from this, and a very ambitious tour. We had a fantastic tour guide, Marina, I think was her name. And she, we did like 12-hour days for 4 days in a row, and visited all sorts of nice little towns and monasteries and whatnot. And it's just, it was fantastic. So I have very fond memories of Bulgaria as a country. And yeah, we saw, we went to Plovdiv, for instance. So I'd like to know a bit more about what's going on in Bulgaria specifically. How is the football team doing? How is George doing with his football team there in Plovdiv? Are there any news about that?
Yes, there are news, and unfortunately, they're not good.
Not good
news,
ones. All right.
But yes.
We'll do the bad news first, and we get into the good news later. Okay.
Sure. The football club changed management, changed the owner, and they said they don't want anything to do with this Bitcoin thing. They have completely different plans. And that is one of the things that I interviewed George about. It will be in the movie, how we're shooting ourselves in the foot about this. That if you want to be the leader, yes. Yeah. If you want to be the leader, be the leader. But right then, when people were supposed to follow you, you drop everything, and it's just, a bit sad, but it is what it is. And now that PSG, the Champions League champion, the actual champion, now adopts it in some sorts of way, it's just, timing couldn't be, I wouldn't say worse, but at some point there is a big "I told you so" to this particular management. But yeah,
Oh,
George
sorry
is
to hear that.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to go into all the details. It was fun while it lasted. I mean, they won the Bulgarian Cup. I seem to remember. Like they won some big. I mean, I know fuck all about football, but they won some trophy. And I think I have one of those scarves somewhere around here. I can't find it now, but the Botev Plovdiv's scarf. So sorry to hear that. I mean, have fun playing ball, as we say. What else is going on in Plovdiv, though? Plovdiv was such a great city. Like, it's one of those places that you never heard of in your life, and it's like this great city with thousands and thousands of years of history, and you just feel ignorant for not having known about it before you visited Bulgaria. It's like it's the second biggest city, right?
Yes, it is the second biggest city. And when we went a little bit deeper, I would say that even me, I was ignorant. I knew it was theory, but when we were doing the movie and doing the scenes, I found out one of the cool things is that it's so much history, but it's built on layers like Bitcoin, that if you dig through the city, the old town, you can see that the first construction is what a particular epoch. Then you could recognize based on architecture and what were the constructions built back then. And so, it is a very good community, actually. I would say they gather every month and they produce more and more Bitcoin builders, which I love to see. So, George, even though he's not in that particular football project, the side projects are actually connecting him to so many other things. Yeah. And because of that initiative, more and more people are becoming part of the whole community that contributes, not just lurking in the shadows.
Fantastic. And also, the other thing I've heard from Bulgaria, which I know is good news, is Plamen's bar, right? Plamen built a Bitcoin bar or Bitcoin nightclub or something in Sofia, if I remember correctly. What can you tell me about that?
Yes. I don't know how you pick those projects, but unfortunately, thing closed also.
This is going well.
Yes. But there's a lesson in there that even though those big projects are kind of close, out of the ashes of that bar is actually the Sofia community created the Bitcoin Club. And they said, we need a physical place, and now we have, and they push on all sorts of fronts. And this is kind of proving that even though some projects might not work, Bitcoiners don't stop. So we continue with the mission. And now the Bitcoin Club is the main organizer of the conference. And they were one of the big participants in creating the movie. And they're doing, we did Pizza Day even in our country, and all sorts of smaller and smaller projects. But I don't know how you pick those two things, but now you're updated.
Well, did you celebrate Infinity Day? You celebrated Pizza Day?
I mean, we didn't sort of celebrate it in this way, but we gathered a bit and we said Happy Infinity Day to the Bulgarian community.
Ah, fantastic. And okay, so sorry for bringing up bad news. What can you tell me? What other good news do you have to tell me from the Bulgarian Bitcoin community? What's going on apart from the things you've already told me?
Well, those two projects, I would say, are big. The other thing that I knew that it would happen when we said that we'll make a movie, that I'll find some diamond in the earth. And one thing that I had no idea that was happening is that there's a second Bitcoin community, a Bitcoin association that was created back in 2014 here. Not only that, but they created a contract with our financial university that they will create a Bitcoin discipline that they'll teach in the university itself. It's not going to happen this year. They need a lot more to do. And the university system is grinding slow. But also because Bitcoin is such a vast discipline that you need mathematics, you need this, you need that, and all those sorts of teachers are not in that particular university, and that is a little bit harder. But that was a community that I had no idea existed. And now we connected, and now two communities will push on all sorts of fronts. And for good, for bad, now that normies here, Bitcoin will be taught in a university. The attitude towards it, that idea, is completely different. So that is a very good surprise for us. And they are doing lots of other stuff, but they're a little bit in secret for now.
Hello there, children. Have you ever thought about a $5 wrench attack or $15 wrench attack? What if someone were to hit you on the head and try to take your Bitcoin with this? Bitcoin transactions are irreversible, and if someone else gets access to your private keys, your money is gone. BitVault is the first Bitcoin wallet that protects you from both physical and digital attacks. It upgrades security with multi-sig and time lock, which is a very interesting feature of Bitcoin. This means that transactions are locked for 2 hours to 15 days, giving you enough time to intervene and revert the transaction so the money goes back to you, even though the attacker thinks they got access to the money. So head to bitvault.sv to secure your lifetime subscription now. There are only 42 of those available for $199. Time is running out. That sounds fantastic. So what can you tell me about the conference? It's on the 18th and the 19th of October, and you can get a 10% discount if you use code Infinity. Luke and I will be there talking and selling books, I think. So what can you tell me apart from that? What's going on with the conference?
Well, first of all, the most important thing is that, you're coming. So thank you for
that. Is the most important thing. Of course it is.
Yes, of course. Yeah. I need to suck up a bit.
So yes, it's not all the time that you get the world's humblest Bitcoiner to your conference. That's special event.
Yeah. Absolutely. But as you mentioned, we are doing a little bit of rebranding. Now that we want to expand it again with this idea to connect communities more and more, because Bitcoin doesn't have borders. And we rebranded to BTC Balkans, even though it's the 4th edition. But the strategy that we deployed, and it works out pretty well, is that we connected to 5 out of the 12 Balkan countries, leaders of communities in those countries, and 5 out of those will come to this event. And now, just like I told you that there are 2 Bulgarian communities pushing on all fronts, I want to facilitate to push even beyond borders. That, let's say, the Slovenian community connects to Bulgarian and we do something together. And that's a really cool thing that basically 6 out of the 12 countries will be at this year's event. The other thing that you mentioned is that Plamen did a private tour for the speakers, but this year the format is a bit different. The first day will be a conference and it will be a longer one, from 9 to 9. But the second day, it won't be in the venue, a conference itself, but it will be a VIP experience. And what you experienced with Plamen for 4 days, we're compressing a bit for 1 day. So the speakers, the organizers, and the VIP tickets will experience what you experience a little bit, a tour of Bulgaria. We'll break bread together, have a dinner. And that's a little bit the format. And we'll see how the community likes it or doesn't. But those are the 2 big changes, rebranding and opening for the VIP tickets to experience a social thing with the speakers themselves.
That sounds fantastic, and to be honest, it sounds more financially responsible than 4 days.
Yeah, but in Bulgaria we are crafty, and we. I'm so amazed about the whole community that they offer so many things, and actually now I remember that even your talk on the second edition of the conference is that we want to cherish the sats, and we are perfectly fine on giving value to each other than trading, because trading is something different. But if we trade effort, we are not actually trading, but amplifying our efforts, and so the end result is actually mutually beneficial and much better than doing it by ourselves.
Absolutely. And I know the Balkans, you mentioned 6 of the 12 countries will be represented here in Sofia. I know there's great communities in not only Slovenia, but in Serbia, for instance. You have Prince Philip, and you have a community in Montenegro, I know, and in Macedonia. There's one in Hungary. There was, unfortunately, that conference was canceled this year, but there's a great community there. Romania, I think there's a Bitcoin hotel there, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a bunch of good stuff going on here. And of course, if you go a bit outside the Balkans, but to Istanbul, there's a great community there too. So so this part of the world,
technically Hungary is outside of the Balkans, but Turkey is partially in it. So Turkey will participate.
I was close enough.
Yes. But unfortunately, we couldn't connect to Macedonia and Romania. But if somebody listens to this show and likes to connect, we are happy to connect on the next one, because we're not planning to be a one-time event, but every year to do it, and to actually be really focused on the Balkans region without Balkan economics, because the Plan B, BTC Prague, Amsterdam, they're great events. They're very big, but the economics for the Balkan people, it's a bit pricey. And so that's why we're creating something that's much more affordable. It's closer to us. But as I said, the biggest thing is that I want the communities to build together. This is just my wish right now, but I'll see if we can make it a reality. But now that people like you are supporting us, you're just great. So,
No, my pleasure, man. And I mean, this part of the world feels like a part of the world that still has the memory of what communism looked like, and what statism leads to if you take it to its extreme. And it's not a good place. So I think, like during COVID and all of this stuff, that this part of the world were a bit more resistant and resilient than Western Europe. It feels like East is the new West in a way. That there is more, you know, ANCAP rebellion stuff going on in former Eastern Europe than in Western Europe nowadays.
Yeah. A lot of communism, and it's still present. It's not like 3 generations away. No. Not only that, but in Bulgaria, even in my lifetime, I was 6 or 7 years old when we were number 1 in inflation in Bulgaria. So in 1996, that particular winter, I remember it's kids' memories. I don't really remember it, but people that are older know exactly what it is. And Bitcoiners that have experienced this and understand it, like, I don't think they'll go back to the fiat system ever. But that is one of the good things, that we're not going to be attracted to, let's invest in ETFs or MicroStrategy, let's give you yield on Bitcoin and stuff like that. It's just, for me, those products are great for no coiners, but if you really understand Bitcoiners, like self-custody, that is the way.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Not your keys, not your coins still applies. They never went away. It's always not your keys, not your coin. By the way, this this inflation back in your youth, it reminds me. I read somewhere that Bulgaria is adopting the euro before it adopts Bitcoin. Is there a chance for your community to like warn people before, like, hang on, if you're going to adopt this, why take this in between step? Why not just upgrade to 5G instantly? Like, why not go the full way and adopt Bitcoin? This is just more of the same. That's a bigger central bank, but it's still a fucking central bank. Like, is there a chance there that Bitcoin can sneakily like get in the door before the euro does?
I don't think so, the way that things are progressing. But I saw a great meme that imagine how much you love to be governed, that you want your government to be governed, and that's the EU. So,
that's
so
great.
I don't know. I don't know how things will progress, but Bitcoin for me is permissionless. So it's a voluntary choice. And some people are doing that upgrade without even like what's happening outside of the system. I try to live on the Bitcoin standard, and I'm not yet like, let's say, BTC session buried, but I'm getting there every month because I'm trying to orange peel manuals and stuff like that out of selfish interest. That means that now I have 30% of my expenses in Bitcoin. And this is really getting to the Bitcoin standard. And now for more than a year, I almost did irrelevant the price. I know that I convert one time in Bitcoin in the beginning of the month, and then I just use it. And I'm outside the, okay, what is the price? Here and there, I hear there's a new all-time high. But other than that, I say that when you actually use Bitcoin, then you feel the actual freedom that we all talk about. Yeah. Because if you just check the price, you're always going to say, I should have sold then, I should have bought then. Yeah. But the actual freedom, you feel it when you use it. Other than that, it's just some theoretical thing, and people can argue against it. They can construct all sorts of arguments.
No, I totally agree, man. And we're on the same journey. Like, I haven't completely exited fiat yet either. I mean, everyone, and as you say, BTC Sessions is probably ahead of the curve here in comparison to the rest of us mortal people. But we're all on this journey, and every year, every month, I would say, I live more and more off of Bitcoin and less off of fiat. I mean, I'm in a part of the world where it's kind of hard to live off of Bitcoin. There's not many retailers or restaurants or anything that accept it around where I am. But then again, I can use Vexel. I can do all sorts of things, and of course, all my work is in Bitcoin nowadays. And I spend almost half the year traveling around and at Bitcoin conferences, and of course, we use Bitcoin all the time there. So it is happening. Might be happening slowly. I sort of see it as, English. If you think about it, if you rewind the clock, because I'm an old geezer, right? I turn 50 next year, so I'm old. And I remember growing up, like when I was in my 20s and started, like Sweden had just joined the EU, and you were more liberated in terms of travel. It was easier to travel around. And I worked at sea and stuff, so I got to see a lot of countries and a lot of places. And in Europe, like when I was around 20, almost no one spoke English in like Germany or France or Spain or their English. They did speak English, but their English was very poor in comparison to what it is now. And it's like the generations that grow up in Europe now, they've lived with English all their lives. So they can speak English perfectly, like they're fluently. And their parents couldn't. But that sort of generational shift, it takes like a generation for the mindset to shift into English. And now I know, like my daughter, she usually speaks English even with her Swedish speaking friends. They all speak English. They default to that language, which is interesting to see. I think they first did it as a joke, but they just don't stop. And it's the same with all of our friends. So, and I think, I think that this is my theory, the pet theory of mine, that Bitcoin adoption is a bit the same. Because this generation that's growing up with it and that will always have had a Lightning wallet in their phone, they're not going to view it as we did. And they're not going to a Bitcoin ATM. Like, what's that for? So you can get your fiat. Yeah, but why? That's going to be a strange thing. It's going to be like a phone booth in the future, where a payphone.
Yeah.
The one Superman changed into Superman. Clark Kent changed into Superman, it's going to be weird. Like, why didn't they need that? Why didn't you just use Bitcoin in the store? It's going to happen at some point. And I think the transition looks somewhat like the transition from no one speaking English to everyone speaking English. Like if you went to East Germany, for instance, in the late 90s, almost no one was a native English speaker. And now you can speak English to anyone there, except people over 50, or people over 60. So yeah. And I guess Bulgaria is sort of the same, right? Bulgaria is like when you land in the airport, it still feels kind of old, like the security people at the airport and stuff. They have these uniforms that look kind of from a different era, if you know what I mean. It looks sort of, but it has a bit of both. It's like a country that is, and add to that all these thousands of years of history. It feels like a country that has sort of always lived in different ages simultaneously, if you know what I mean. Am I onto something?
Nice. Yeah. No, it's just a strange perspective from an outsider because I live here and also I live in a bit of a bubble because I don't watch TV now for more than 15 years. And I don't even know the commercials that they are playing or even the news. I heard about COVID stuff a day later after it happened. I'm a strange case, but I do agree now that you're saying it, that we live in different things. The only thing is that you're also exposed to the big cities. If you go to the countries, I would say it's more older generations because so many villages, unfortunately, have no people in them now in Bulgaria. But so just like the fiat banking is centralizing everything, it is centralizing also the population because you can't actually go live a sovereign life because you are forced to survive, and better for survival is to be surrounded by things like that. But the other thing that I wanted to mention about the English language is, I do agree, but there will be tremors because those kids that are going to adopt Bitcoin, they are not going to get into the banking system at all. Like telling them, wait here to create a bank account for 40 minutes and then give me all sorts of things. And then tell them you don't have the authority, but you have to ask permission. I don't know. I think it will be very strange for them. Yeah. But the great thing is that they will have a Bitcoin account or actual Bitcoin, like since they're 6 or 7. And the fiat system, banking system doesn't own them until they're 14. So it basically rejecting them. And it will be a tremor when they realize that they're losing clients. Like the new suckers are not sucked in to their system. And at some point, I think it will be a sudden collapse, but the building, it will be slow, like you said. Because even if I'm a Bitcoiner, I need to develop my network in order to use it fully. Because even if I believe in it, a lot of other people need to believe in it around me also.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I have bank accounts at all is that I'm forced to have them. Like, so that's true already. Like, because of all the regulations and stuff that always favor the bank. Like, you're forced to have them if you're going to do certain things in certain countries. So, like, but like anything I can do to exit that system, I will, because I, as you know, I fucking hate the banks. Like they do way more harm than good, in my opinion, and they steal people's time.
Absolutely. And in all sorts of ways. And it's just sad. But yeah, when they don't have new clients, I do believe that they'll put pressure more on their existing clients, which will wake more people up. They'll lose even more clients, and it's just a vicious cycle that there will be a sudden collapse, but it will be unevenly distributed. I think that everybody needs to get onboarded to the dollar, so that thing needs to collapse, and we don't need to worry about all the other collapses. So
no, they're coming anyway. Like, and I mean, yeah, people are celebrating these fintech apps like Wise or Revolut. And yeah, they're way better than the banking system, but they're super inferior to Bitcoin. Of course they are. Like, still, you have to switch between currencies and stuff, and you have to do all this stuff, IBAN numbers and whatnot. Like, no, it's still not there. Like, there is a better system, and it's so much better. Like, just from a payments perspective. So it's interesting. Oh, yeah, you said. You went into the whole store of value, medium of exchange dichotomy here. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on my opinion on that, because I think the dichotomy is the problem, that people differentiate between the two. I think it's actually wrong to say store of value, because value is subjective. Medium of exchange over space and time would be a better way of saying it, because you are exchanging with your future self. That's what saving is. Like, it's still a medium exchange, but it's you exchanging value with your future self. And there's nothing wrong with saving. There's nothing wrong with spending. Like, both are needed. Like, Bitcoin wouldn't be a very good form of money if it couldn't do both. Gold is not a very good form of money because it can't do the medium exchange over space part. Fiat isn't a very good form of money because it can't do the medium exchange over time part. And Bitcoin can do both, and that's the beauty of it. What are your thoughts on that particular?
My thoughts on that. I actually wrote the whole article about it, looking the perspective of the medium of exchange. But I do believe that it is a false dichotomy. They amplify each other. It's like, if I do something good for Bitcoin, you benefit. If you do it, I benefit. And it's the same thing with the store of value and medium of exchange, that even these days, when I went into the research, we know that Bitcoin currently is around $2 trillion. But for a medium of exchange, last year in 2024, it was used only on the first layer, $3.4 trillion. So that means it's used more as a medium of exchange than store of value. But I even jokingly say that let's imagine that somebody loses their key for their Bitcoin. That's the perfect store of value. But what is the value of, let's say, if MicroStrategy lose their key to the stock price and their perception, if they lose the medium of exchange?
There's an argument to be made there that in that case, the scarcity of the remaining coins, they are even more finite now. They're even more scarce, and thus even more valuable.
The system, but my point is that because you can use both, they amplify each other. If you lose one of them, the other loses also. And I even found out that everybody is focused. Sailor is just the biggest voice for good, for bad, for whatever, and that he's amplifying the Jesse Meyer chart about the assets that are stored everywhere. I did the same chart on the medium of exchange for a year, and it turns out that the dollar, in his chart, he says is around $115 trillion, something like that, as a store of value, but as a medium of exchange is 2.5 quadrillion.
Yeah.
a year. So like they're linked, and if you separate them, it happens like gold. Like gold started to have problems when it separated those functions. And if you want to separate Bitcoin, that means that you want it to be less valuable. So those are kind of my thoughts there. And I think that we are on a very good track, even though with all this social propaganda that is just a sort of value, just capital, is just asset, is just this or that. Well, even now Bitcoin is used more than it's actually stored. And again, I don't have anything against storing it. That's like, because if you can't store it, you can't even exchange it. Like, but
no, exactly. All medium, all exchanges happen in time. Like you cannot, you cannot instantly zap that. Like you can almost instantly on the Lightning Network, but there's always time. Like time always has to pass.
It's an interesting chart that I had a sense that it is like this, but when I went into the research to write that article, it's really, that's also a beast that Bitcoin is fighting. Not only the store of value, how much of that market is going to take, but also on the medium of exchange. As I said, 2.5 quadrillion in dollars, but all the other stuff is, let's say, half a quadrillion. So let's say all the medium of exchange that happens a year, it's $3 quadrillion a year. And even now, Bitcoin is more medium of exchange than real estate. Real estate is great for store of value, but it turns out that for trading is just exchanged for $1.3 trillion a year, which is crap.
Well,
and even
you
now,
could argue
Bitcoin is beating it.
Yeah, but you could argue that real estate is a crap store of value if you denominate in Bitcoin, which you should. It doesn't hold value at all. It falls. Like every house falls in price if you denominate in Bitcoin. Like so if you view it from the correct lens, it's actually a shit store of value, which it should be. It's a consumer good. Like you build it, you live in it till it collapses. Like it's not supposed to hold value. That was all fiat's fault that they ever did. And there's so much interesting here because, okay, the dollar, the reason it's popular, I say there's two main reasons. One is that the US won the last World War, and therefore they get to be the main money printer. They get to dictate what oil is priced in and other shit too, and therefore it's the most popular currency from that perspective. But also, it's just that it's fucking popular. It has a virality to it. Like it's gone viral. People know that it's the most acceptable, and therefore it becomes even more acceptable. That's why also why developing people in developing countries prefer USDT to Bitcoin. They are familiar with the dollar. It has the best branding of all the currencies, I would say. So. Now, it's very popular from just popularity. So
absolutely.
And gold on the other hand, as you say, since people only viewed it as a store of value, it was hoarded in and not used as a medium of exchange. But that's just half the story. It was also not used as a medium of exchange because it's very, very hard to use it as a medium of exchange. It's not very divisible. It's very heavy to carry around. It's like. And gold certificates aren't really gold; they're fiat. Like they're no better than any other banknote. So this is the problem, and it is the problem Bitcoin solves. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think we need to like convince Bitcoiners to get away from this stupid dichotomy because it's simply false. Like the value lies in being able to solve both problems because they aren't two problems; they're the same problem.
Yes,
they are actually the same problem. You want to be able to trade with people, medium exchange over space, without the thing you're trading with losing value, medium exchange over time. Like it's the exact same problem.
So absolutely, and just like saying, "Oh, I have, let's say, savings in dollars, and I have my budget for the month." Those are two separate things. Like, if you want to hold on, those are your savings. But why should there be a person between us telling you, if you should buy a product, buy a service. The people that need to be involved are the person selling it and the person that wants to buy it.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea. And that's why I say you feel the freedom when you have this. If you put a third party in between, and now we don't have a third party, we have a fourth, fifth, sixth, how many, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we're exploited in ways that we know and we don't know. That is just horrible, and no wonder why people were preyed upon and they have no idea where it's coming from. And Bitcoiners want to go away from that because for that we realized a little bit of something. And I was an idiot 40 years ago. I had no idea about all those things. I thought that I know what is money. I thought that economics is something like valuable, but yeah, it is valuable, but it should be peer-to-peer all the time, in my particular point of view.
Absolutely. And I always on about this. There's so many similar things that you say, so much things that resonate with what I'm trying to spread the gospel of all the time, so to speak. For instance, like I always say that a bank account is a 2 out of 3 multisig between you, the bank, and the government. And you hold the worst key because you need approval of both the other two. They can... Either one of them only needs one key, but it's actually all fiat money. Like if you're using a credit card, it's a 3 out of 4 multisig between the credit card company, the bank, the government, and you, right? And you still have the worst key. And the more, and if you use a credit card to buy a subscription, then it's a fifth thing. Like it adds on with the rent-seeking third parties that don't need to be in the transaction at all. So no, and I love this, how we're incentivized to help one another. And I think there's so much to explore there. I have a couple of pet theories about the medium exchange part. Like when really deep into hyper Bitcoinization, I think we will have fewer transactions rather than more transactions. And I base this on like everything in fiat land being the exact inverse of what it is in Bitcoin land. Like everything will function completely differently on a deflationary standard rather than an inflationary standard. And they can't
I don't think
coexist.
it will be different. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think it will be different. I think it will be opposite.
Exactly, inverse. Like that's what I'm getting at. So for instance, one example is when you go to the bathroom at the central station in Sofia. You pay a Bulgarian shitcoin coin in a little slot machine, and then you can go to the loo. Like that, I bet you that's how it works in fiat land in Bulgaria, right?
Similar,
something like that. And this is everywhere in Europe. And on a Bitcoin standard, I think instead you would buy a subscription service, premium subscription for all the railway traffic you could ever want, a lifetime subscription for a one-time payment in Bitcoin, because that the seller of that ticket, of that subscription, is incentivized to have you pay for it earlier, because then he gets more Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
So that is how, just one aspect of how a deflationary system incentivizes us to sure do more shit with one another and have more exchanges, but not necessarily by using by monetary transactions. I think we buy something bigger that gives us more human action and more human interactions for a longer time, but maybe there's not a need for all these micropayments. In my opinion, micropayments are a very fiat-y thing. I love that they function on Bitcoin, that you can do them, but they're not necessarily a very, very Bitcoin-y thing. What are your thoughts?
You provoked me to think about one other example that I thought. I'm also a fan of Jeff Boost and the deflationary system that it can only be measured by Bitcoin. But I think it will be double deflationary because of this. Yes, all the entrepreneurs will solve the problems, and that's basically Bitcoin will rise with the productivity of the human race. But also, if we have so much more, the people that are around me, I'll be happy to share, to give them an experience.
Exactly.
Something that in fiat, if I'm thinking if I will survive the month, if I have too much months at the end of the money, I will not share. I am also will be forced to think, who should I steal from? That's an incentive. And based on everybody's morals, they need to decide. And again, on the deflationary side, everybody's ethics will be not how much I should steal, but how much should I give to charity? Should I give to people and stuff like that? That's completely inverse.
Because all of a sudden, your integrity and your honesty and your reputation becomes, there is a second best, and it's Bitcoin. Like the first one is your integrity. Like
I disagree.
Well, or maybe it's the second one, but maybe Bitcoin is even better than that. But what I'm saying is that your reputation will be way more valuable on a Bitcoin standard, because I as a bank, for instance, I wouldn't give a guy that I cannot trust a loan. Right now, they give a loan to absolutely fucking everyone. On a Bitcoin standard, people wouldn't do that because I need to trust the guy. Like so trust increases by this don't trust verify ethos. Ironically enough, increases trust between people, and I think it's beautiful. And I totally agree with this altruistic. Like my example that I always use is, if you have 10 poor friends that are eating for 10 days in a row, and compare that to 10 rich friends who eat for 10 days in a row, what happens? The poor people, like say 10 poor students, they're at the same university, but what they do is they go into one apartment each and they buy noodles and they sit at home and eat their noodles. Super cheap, not very social. The rich people, they probably go to a restaurant every night, and each and every night, everyone is fighting over who gets to pick up the bill, because they're nice people who want to give and they can afford it. So they want to be altruistic and nice. This is, of course, there will be assholes and people that fall out of the rule and everything. But in general, if most people are good people, and the more money good people have, the nicer the world is.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that. But what I'm saying is, this is 100 transactions with the poor people. It's 10 transactions with the rich people. Money is used less because they are better to one another. Not because they have more money, but because they have the capacity to be good to one another to a higher extent. And when you have this number go up technology in Bitcoin, that's what this enables. And it enables us all to be better to one another. And it's just, I just love that aspect of it.
Absolutely. And the thing that I disagreed with is not that Bitcoin is second best. It absolutely is. But for me, there is no second best to Fener. Like, if you actually choose the proper person to it and create life, there shouldn't be a second best. We shouldn't be that selfish that it's all about us. But if you focus on the first priority and second priority, they amplify each other again, and everything else is just details. But also to comment on the that other world and why the current world in fiat is like this, because the nice people get taken advantage of, and it will happen a lot. But when the whole system is in such a way that I'm psychopath and I lie to other people, cheat, steal, and whatever, do crimes. But if I create it in such a way that is a repeatable event, that is a business model.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that we live in currently. And people that are nice just want to be left alone and not have to deal with it. But they didn't have the proper tool to protect their property in so many ways. And all those business models that are exploitative from the psychopaths and play that over centuries, this is where we are. But now Bitcoin gives the power. It's really a nuclear shield against those kinds of powers if you do it properly. It comes with responsibility, because if, again, you lose your Bitcoin, Bitcoin doesn't care. Like,
no,
we individually care, but if you have the proper responsibility, now you can actually protect yourself from those forces, and that will be unprofitable model, not on an economy, but on the social thing, just like Bitcoin. there was Bitcoin Jesus that said, "Oh, I want to do this," and the network kicked him out, not Bitcoin, the network. That is what will happen, I see, in the future, and that's why it's much more important to build the network, in my point of view, which is much more medium of exchangeness again. But this is how we create that world. And
I mean,
so many people can actually live that world today. It just requires a bit more effort than my kids will have to do.
gloves up. We know of a knockout Bitcoin wallet. It's the Bitbox 02 Nova Edition, and you can get it at bitbox.swiss. This little thingy has the latest security chip, and you can plug it straight into your iPhone, and it's an overall awesome device. The software interface is super smooth, and it's a very secure hardware wallet. They're one of the oldest hardware wallets in the business. So go to bitbox.swiss/infinity and check out the new Nova edition of the Bitbox right now. Code Infinity gets you a discount. And if you go to bitbox.swiss/infinity, you will automatically get that discount. So there. $15 wrench attacks are one thing, but what if you die? You need some inheritance planning. We have some very wonderful Aussie friends that can take care of that for you. They're called the Bitcoin Advisor. You find them at the Bitcoin Advisor with an ER, not an OR at the end, .com. And they can secure your Bitcoins for generations for a very low fee. So go to bitcoinadvisor.com and check out their inheritance planning stuff right now. There are so many dichotomies that are false here, like me and my money, that they are two separate things. That's also a false dichotomy, because in Bitcoin, it's all about keeping a secret from other people. That's all owning Bitcoin means. That's what holding your private keys means. So I am my Bitcoins, and so are you. So we are, just by that very fact, incentivized to help one another. But I have said this on so many podcasts and so many times, so I'm getting bored with myself here. I'd like to pick your brain on one thing we haven't talked about yet. When we're speaking here about medium exchange over space and time, and all sorts of money metrics, I'd love to know where you stand on the knots versus core 30 debate. Like, are you paying attention to that? Do you think it's important? Are you have you taken a stance, or are you somewhat neutral? What are your thoughts?
I'm not neutral. It's about Bitcoin. I'm sorry. I'm not ignoring it. But I'm not a technical guy, and what I can see so far is that the people that are technical lean more towards core, and the people that are not lean towards knots. And for good, for bad, the people that are from core are not speaking to us. And I feel currently that is just I will take an uninformed decision. So I'm slow playing this particular. I feel that it isn't an actual war, how people actually say it, that it's much less important. But I don't, and especially right now in the blockchain, it's nobody there. All people are on the second layers and in ETFs. So what are we talking about? But I feel that when the whole system experiences a bit of stress, that thing will reveal who is more right. Ideologically, I lean towards, I want Bitcoin to be money, but I don't feel comfortable enough to discredit the people that got us here. Yeah.
Would you say it's correct to say that the more technical people lean towards core, and the more educated on the money part of the equation lean towards knots? Or is there a discrepancy here between computer knowledge and economics knowledge?
Again, I think that's another false dichotomy. I think that's the title of this episode.
False dichotomies with Ivan. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're part of the same thing. So if you ignore one, how much is that going to affect the other? And so that's my thinking. And that's why I'm saying I don't feel competent enough technically to make a complete decision, and I don't want to lean or lead people any other way. But I'm definitely checking out. So far, I'm undecided.
I love that answer for so many reasons. I love that you're humble enough to admit that you don't feel educated enough to take a stance on the subject. Not very many people are have the guts to do that, because there's so much of a dick measuring contest going on in Bitcoin so many times, especially on social media. And I also love the false dichotomy thought, because I mean, you need both. You can't be ignorant about any part of it, really. If you want to have an informed opinion, you need to be informed. I lean towards not side, but I will say I also feel that I'm not as technical as I should be. I should be more well read up on the technical aspects. I feel very well read up on money and how that works and how it's supposed to work. And libertarian principles and such. The
discussion is really political when you track it. Maybe there is nothing technical about it, but I don't think the environment currently is adversarial enough for me to make a decision. It's just. I wrote another article that I say that we don't even know what Bitcoin is. For me, this is such a new thing. It's imagine when for the first time we saw a car, even though it's man-made, how can you describe it with just words? You can't. You have to see it. You have to experience it. You have to see the cause and effects and all of those things. And right now we are doing the same with Bitcoin. When you say, Bitcoin is a medium exchange, store of value, Bitcoin is software, Bitcoin is a database, Bitcoin is digital gold 2.0, all sorts of things. When you say is, that for me is the problem. Bitcoin is not just that. Bitcoin is like all of those things. It has those properties of it, but to say it is one of them, you're limiting it, in my particular point of view. And right now, just because the whole language around Bitcoin, I don't think it's developed enough. It's can you say what is a transmission thing when we were writing codices? No, that language needed to develop with the whole technology and the whole usability of everything. Right now, we are in the middle of it, and we're seeing that whole language develop and the consequences of all sorts of things. But that doesn't mean that we're completely ignorant. But I'm saying the moment when somebody says Bitcoin is something, I see the red flag of somebody is not seeing the whole picture. And I try to stay away from that. And even if because you can completely say, we're saying, Bitcoin is a store of value, and it is a medium of exchange, and it is digital. All of them are right, and nobody is technically wrong. But what is the thing that we're not talking about? The thing that we're deleting out of that conversation, and it will be very, very hard for the future until we completely ossify. But I don't think we should also get to that point now.
No, and how do you prove that Bitcoin has ossified? It's impossible. From a certain perspective, it cannot ossify, because people are still in charge. So so the golden elephant in the room is the entire elephant with the trunk and the tail and the tusks and whatnot. It's not just part of it. No, I totally agree. And also, Bitcoin is different things to different people. We don't know how people are going to interact with this thing in the future. It is a number that cannot be copied. It's very weird. We'll see where it leads. Money is the most obvious use case, and I hope it's the only use case from that monetary maxi perspective. But who knows how people are going to interact with it in the future? It's super interesting.
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm trying to say. let's experience it and let's see the different experiences. What are the problems with it? Because even this filtering thing wasn't a thing until we tweaked something. So it comes with usability, because theory is nice, but the universe is uncompromising. You can break the laws, and just like in Bitcoin, if you can do something, that means that it will be done. So on how much and what scale, it varies. But we should actually experience all sorts of things and do so if there is a potential problem, we can address it. That's how it should be. It's not if we all just hodl and buy on chain, we are going to miss absolutely everything, in my opinion. We're going to miss even the bugs. Nothing happens when you just wait. Time passes by. Bitcoin becomes more valuable in purchasing terms, but you should use Bitcoin for your life, not use your life to buy more Bitcoin. And one other note, going back to the conferences, that is one of the things that we are actually doing differently. That in our conference, it is a small venue. We're not a big venue, but in our conference, we are not going to allow fiat payment. So all the merchants will work only with Bitcoin. And if somebody insists on giving us fiat, there will be an exchange in the Bitcoin club, no fees. We don't need a license, but we will convert your fiat because I want the Bitcoin to go through their fingers to really understand. And that is my orange pilling approach these days to merchants. I don't tell them anything. I just tell them, download this app and I transfer your funds. And I explain nothing. And then they convince themselves and they start asking questions. The door might open, and that is really my approach. We need to get them through experience. The theory got us so far, and the people that are bookworms like me and you, we go read. But the other people, they don't want to think. They just have problems, and we need to solve them through an experience.
Yeah, cool. Fantastic. No fiat payments. How are you? You mentioned in the very beginning here, you mentioned layer twos and things happening in Lightning and stuff. I saw a post the other day about Arc, actually. All the transactions during Honey Badger where people thought they were using Lightning, but there was some Arc thing running in the background. What do you know about this? Can you deep dive into that a little bit? Is there anything you can tell me?
Yeah. Oh, well, I lean more onto my leader, Roy, in Breez. Again, I'm not a developer, but I do see a whole variety of solutions like Arc, like Liquid, like Sediment, like Cashew. And we do believe in Breez that Lightning will be this common language. Like you said, the English. This will be the connective tissue of all those solutions that if you want to go from Arc to a Sediment, it will go through Lightning, and all those sorts of things now can happen fast and stuff like that. That's on the Lightning side. On the Arc, it has its own priorities and trade-offs. But for me, just because it is being developed, that means it's adding to the system. And the people that need that particular solution will use it. Just like I love the Sediment. It's really developed in mind for the activists and the people that have to deal with stuff that usually you and me don't have to. But that particular group has to have that type of solution, even if it has different trade-offs than using something more non-custodial or self-custodial. But all of those things need to be developed. So I say all the fiat infrastructure needs to get on top of Bitcoin. And it will have different trade-offs with different things. So on Arc, the great thing is that right now it's not theory because it was a year and something. Right now they're getting into practice, and that's what I love. we'll test it, we'll use it, we'll see what are the problems, where it's actually more valuable than the other solutions. And for me, it's a great thing, because that's one of the things that technology can progress faster than politics. So I love to see it.
There's the saying, the future is built on Bitcoin, but I think it's slightly wrong. It should be the future is built on top of Bitcoin in layers. Like that's how we need to do this. Before we wrap up here, where do you want to send people on the internet? Is there anything you want to shill? I mean, we talked about the movie, but we don't know when that is coming out. The BTC Balkans website, I have it up here somewhere. It's btcbalkans.com, where you can see all the speakers and get your tickets. What else than that? Where can people find you?
I am the more visible guy from Breez. If you want to talk integrating Lightning payments or all sorts of solutions into your apps, because we do believe that the future is not building Bitcoin apps, but integrating Bitcoin into the existing apps. And that's what we are focusing in our company. But on the personal projects, the movie, as I said, hopefully it will be released early next year. We will give it for free after we make the premiere in Bulgaria. We'll give it for free to the internet. We're thinking about distributions, how to afford that topic, because we are really aiming for impact. We are not aiming for profits. And that's one of the lovely, liberating things that I don't have to comply to any sponsor or anybody. Like, I ask the community, how much is the community willing to contribute financially? They contributed a lot with their effort to become available and stuff like that. And the rest of the finances I covered with another main person that would like to be anonymous. But we are aiming for impact. Let's hope we show a little bit more of the UX, what we talked about with all those false economies and stuff like that. And anybody that is interested, my hope is that they make those type of movies how Bitcoin is used, not what Bitcoin is. I think right now what Bitcoin is, even though I told you this is the wrong approach in my opinion, if somebody wants to learn, there's more than enough. Like in 2013, there was almost nothing, but now it's just, I love this quote. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice. So if somebody wants to be ignorant about Bitcoin, it's really a choice, and everybody is free to choose because nobody will force anybody to use Bitcoin, other than BTC Balkans.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So Breez, the website is BREEZ.technology.
Yes.
Yeah. Breez Technology. Misty Breez looks super cool, I think.
That's a reference app, but really, that is what is running for a lot of our partners that are integrating Lightning. That is what we want to aim. We don't want to develop apps anymore, as I said. But anybody that wants to develop an app to just plug and play with Bitcoin. Bitcoin needs to be everywhere.
Yeah, and Roy is a great guy. I got to spend some time with him, get to know him a little better this summer in Lugano. Looking forward to meeting him again in Lugano later. There's another conference with Code Infinity, by the way. And looking forward to returning to Sofia on the 18th and 19th of October. Come to Sofia and come to BTC Balkans and be forced to use Lightning with the rest of us. Like the rest of us. Yeah.
Yes. One last note, and if you may, if you allow me to ask one question to you, is that
absolutely.
we're right before Plan B. So anybody that would like to stay longer in Bulgaria is happy to do so, and then jump off to Plan B in conference. But what would you say is the for a Bitcoiner to come in Bulgaria, and based on your experience, or is just about the culture that made the most impression on you?
I absolutely love the culture in Bulgaria. Like the people dancing on the streets, and the food was great. Like and felt very genuine and like communal, if you wish. No, I absolutely. I was so impressed by how friendly and yeah, the culture. That's what I'm trying to get here at here. This Balkans. It reminded me of those old Kurosawa movies, but without the machine guns. You know, no, yogurt-based coziness everywhere. You know, it's great. No, I loved it, and I can definitely recommend if you're in the area to have a look around, because there's so much to see. Interesting stuff, beautiful stuff, and beautifully ugly stuff from the Soviet era, or the commie era. Wasn't a part of the Soviet Union, but almost. There's this old commie architecture which serves as a warning to what can happen if you let totalitarianism take over. And great people everywhere, and a great community of Bitcoiners. I absolutely loved it. So I'm looking forward to coming back very much. I think Luke might be staying a couple of extra days. I'm not 100% sure about this. I'm flying out the day after the conference to Prague, in between Bulgaria and Lugano.
Okay,
but yeah,
cool.
That's the plan.
Yeah, we'll make sure to, as we said, yeah, and Waman set a very high bar actually to really make it the experience memorable. Because wherever I asked, the reputation for Bulgaria is high, and it's really that main guy that led and created. It's just he's ferocious about so many things.
I'm trying. Yeah, I have absolutely fantastic. I'm trying to remember the name of, but it had a very complicated Bulgarian name. A smaller city north of Plovdiv. I think it was in the northwest part of the country, but I can't remember, with a river running through the city, or the town. It's more like a town than a city, with a castle and stuff. Yeah, that was beautiful. Anyway,
that is Veliko Trnovo.
Yeah, Veliko Trnovo. Yeah. Yes, it's one of those names. It's okay to not remember.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pronounce with the rough Slavic pronunciation.
Yeah,
but that guy there, again, one other crazy Bitcoiner that decided to open a superstore. Or you can buy anything.
There was a supermarket, a small supermarket.
Yeah. He opened the second one into the next village, and that supermarket, the Bitcoin logo is like 2 meters high, and it is in the police building. So I think, and I love seeing that, but all sorts of things like this. I don't know. Bitcoiners, just because we lead a happy life, the rules of quiet protests are like completely different for us, because we just infect culture and memetics and stuff like that. If we didn't live through this, again, it's had to be with blood to change things. But now, if you don't, you're actually stay into the fiat system, which will spill blood. So all the nice people should come first. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's the most beautiful way to defund the police, by the way, accepting sats in the police building.
Yeah.
It'll take some time, though.
Yeah, no, we'll see how long.
But also, like,
that's what we are aiming for.
Yeah, great. I mean, if don't worry if you don't have the time to see the entire country. Sofia itself is super beautiful and has a ton of history. Like, it goes back to thousands of years. There's you can spend an entire week just there exploring that town. So highly recommended. Yeah. Ivan, thank you very much for coming on again. And as I said, looking forward a ton to the conference, and I know Luke is too. Yeah, all the best till then. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me again, and really excited to all the products again.
This has been the Bitcoin Infinity Show. Like, subscribe, brush your teeth. Take care till next time.